Katharine Ross. Truly hated her more than anyone. Katharine Ross was born Katharine Juliette Ross on January 29, 1940, in Hollywood, California. Her father, Dudley Ross, was a Navy officer who served during World War II and later worked for Associated Press, while her mother, Catherine W. Hall, was a homemaker. The family moved frequently, and Ross spent much of her youth in the San Francisco Bay Area, where she developed a deep appreciation for art, literature, and theater, passions that would guide her life's path. After graduating from Las Lomas High School in Walnut Creek in 1957, Ross attended Diablo Valley College, where she became involved in drama. It was there that her acting talents began to shine. Encouraged by teachers and peers, she left college after 1 year to pursue acting full-time. She joined the Actors Workshop in San Francisco, a respected institution where she studied method acting under the influence of modern theatrical innovators. This early training grounded her in a deep emotional realism that would later become her signature on screen. Ross's professional career began modestly, with small television appearances in the early 1960s. She appeared in shows such as The Alfred Hitchcock Hour, Gunsmoke, Wagon Train, and The Virginian, quickly proving her ability to adapt to diverse genres, from suspense to westerns. Hollywood soon took notice of her graceful screen presence and compelling naturalism. Her first significant film role came in 1965's Shenandoah, starring James Stewart, where she played the gentle love interest, Ann Anderson. This film introduced her to a wider audience and set her on a trajectory towards stardom. Her breakthrough arrived in 1967 with Mike Nichols's legendary film, The Graduate. Starring alongside Dustin Hoffman as the fresh-faced Elaine Robinson, Ross embodied the innocence and emotional depth of a young woman caught between her parents' expectations and her own search for love and identity. Her performance was luminous, understated yet emotionally charged, earning her an Academy Award nomination for Best Supporting Actress and a Golden Globe Award for New Star of the Year. The Graduate became one of the most iconic films of the 20th century, and Ross's portrayal of Elaine became an emblem of the era's shifting social values and generational conflict. Following The Graduate, Katharine Ross continued to make bold and interesting choices. In 1969, she co-starred with Paul Newman and Robert Redford in Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, portraying Etta Place, the enigmatic woman who loved Sundance. Her chemistry with both leading men, especially Redford, was undeniable. The film became a classic, and Ross's performance added warmth and emotional dimension to a story otherwise dominated by action and outlaw charm. That same year, she won the BAFTA Award for Best Actress for her work in Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid and Tell Them Willie Boy Is Here. In the 1970s, Ross continued to build an impressive career, appearing in The Stepford Wives, 1975, a chilling and thought-provoking film that cemented her reputation for choosing roles with depth and social resonance. Her portrayal of Joanna Eberhardt, a woman uncovering a horrifying conspiracy in her seemingly perfect suburban community, remains one of her most acclaimed performances. Ross also starred in Voyage of the Damned, 1976, earning another Golden Globe nomination. She managed to balance Hollywood success with a preference for privacy, avoiding the trappings of celebrity life and focusing on meaningful work rather than fame. As the years passed, Ross continued to act occasionally, appearing in television movies, independent films, and alongside Elliott in projects such as Conaher, 1991, which earned her another Golden Globe nomination. Her career, spanning over 5 decades, has reflected a balance of artistic integrity and personal authenticity. She has never sought publicity or scandal, but instead allowed her work to speak for itself. Katharine Ross's personal life has been marked by a series of marriages that reflect the twists and turns of her journey both on and off the screen. Over the years, she married 5 times, each relationship representing a different chapter of her life, coinciding with various stages in her career and personal growth. Ross's first marriage took place on February 28, 1960, when she wed her college sweetheart, Joel Fabiani. At the time, she was still a young woman just beginning to find her place in the world, balancing her early ambitions and acting with the ordinary hopes of a young couple starting out. Fabiani, who would later become a television and stage actor himself, shared some of Ross's creative inclinations, and together, they represented the promise of 2 young people dreaming of careers in the arts. However, as their ambitions began to lead them down separate paths, and Ross's career started to gather momentum, the pressures of distance and differing aspirations proved too much. After only 2 years of marriage, the couple divorced, marking the first of several brief unions that would follow. In 1964, Ross married for the second time, this time to John Marion. By then, she had begun establishing herself as a promising actress, gaining more recognition within Hollywood circles. The marriage to Marion, though initially hopeful, proved to be another short-lived chapter. The couple's relationship ultimately unraveled, and they were divorced in 1967. This period in Ross's life coincided with her growing presence in film and television as her career started to accelerate in ways that may have made it difficult to sustain a stable personal life. Her third marriage, however, connected her directly with the world of filmmaking at the highest level. In 1969, after completing her iconic role as Etta Place in Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, Ross married the film's cinematographer, Conrad Hall. Hall was one of Hollywood's most respected talents, an acclaimed cinematographer who would go on to win 3 Academy Awards for his artistry behind the camera. Their relationship was one that seemed to bridge artistry and intimacy. Hall's poetic visual sensibilities and Ross's luminous screen presence made them an intriguing and creative pair. They were both at the height of their artistic promise, and their marriage reflected a union of 2 strong creative spirits. However, as with many relationships within the demanding world of Hollywood, their busy careers and contrasting temperaments began to create distance between them. By 1973, after 4 years of marriage, they decided to part ways. Not long after, Ross's 4th marriage came in 1974, when she wed Gaetano Tom Lisi, whom she had met while filming The Stepford Wives. Lisi had been working as a chauffeur and technician on the set, and their relationship blossomed from a genuine connection rather than the high-profile glamour of the Hollywood elite. This marriage reflected a different side of Ross, someone seeking stability and normalcy after years of emotional turbulence and the constant demands of fame. Despite their differing professional worlds, the couple shared a sincere affection for each other. However, as time went on, the challenges of maintaining balance between her thriving acting career and their personal relationship became evident, leading to their divorce in 1979. Ross's 5th and final marriage would prove to be the one that endured. On May 1, 1984, she married actor Sam Elliott, a man whose deep voice, rugged charm, and understated strength had made him one of Hollywood's most beloved leading men. The two had first crossed paths years earlier on the set of Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, though at the time Ross was already an established star, and Elliott was just beginning to make his way in the industry. It wasn't until 1978, when they were both cast in the horror film The Legacy, that their relationship truly began to blossom. Their connection grew from friendship into romance, grounded in mutual respect and shared values rather than the fleeting excitement of celebrity life. Their marriage was a turning point for Ross. Unlike her previous relationships, this union provided a deep sense of partnership and stability. Both she and Elliott maintained successful acting careers while also prioritizing their life together away from Hollywood's constant spotlight. Just a few months after their wedding, on September 17, 1984, Ross gave birth to their daughter, Cleo Rose Elliott. It was a joyful moment for both of them. Ross was nearly 45 at the time, and Cleo became the center of their world. Cleo would later follow in her parents' artistic footsteps, pursuing a career in music. Throughout her long and respected career in Hollywood, Katharine Ross earned a reputation as a soft-spoken and deeply private actress, someone who preferred to let her work speak for itself. Yet, behind the graceful composure and serene beauty that audiences admired, there were occasional conflicts that revealed another side of Ross, her refusal to tolerate cruelty, arrogance, or disrespect on a film set. Among all the colleagues she encountered over decades in the industry, there was one person Ross reportedly truly hated more than anyone. That person was the outspoken and eccentric actress Cloris Leachman. Ross and Leachman's professional paths crossed during the late 1960s and early 1970s, a time when both actresses were at the height of their fame. Leachman had just begun earning recognition for her biting humor and unpredictable energy, while Ross was still riding the wave of her success from The Graduate, 1967, and Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, 1969. According to those who worked around them, their personalities clashed almost immediately. Ross, who was known for her calm, introverted nature, found Leachman's loud, confrontational behavior intolerable. "Cloris had this way of making everything about her," Ross once remarked privately. "She didn't just steal scenes, she stole the air in the room." The tension reportedly began during a shared project in which Leachman's improvisational style and constant ad-libbing disrupted the quiet discipline Ross was known for. Ross, who preferred carefully rehearsed and emotionally subtle performances, was often thrown off by Leachman's unpredictability. Crew members recalled seeing Ross quietly fuming while Leachman would go off script, forcing everyone else to adjust. "It wasn't about professionalism," Ross later explained. "It was about respect. When someone keeps turning a scene into a circus, it stops being art." Their personal interactions off camera were no better. Leachman, famous for her sharp tongue and unfiltered humor, would often make sarcastic comments that Ross took as personal insults. Leachman's teasing, which others might have dismissed as jokes, struck Ross as cruel and unnecessary. "Cloris liked to poke people," Ross said, "but it wasn't funny to me." There's a difference between humor and humiliation. Over time, what began as mild irritation developed into outright hostility. Ross reportedly avoided Leachman at industry events, even walking out of a dinner once when she realized Leachman had been seated at the same table. Despite the animosity, Ross never turned the feud into a public spectacle. True to her nature, she remained dignified and largely silent in interviews. When a journalist once asked her about Leachman years later, she paused before saying, "Some people feed on chaos. I never could." That brief statement revealed much about how Ross viewed their differences. One woman thriving on unpredictability and attention, the other longing for focus and peace. Leachman, on the other hand, seemed almost amused by the tension. Known for her mischievous sense of humor, she once quipped to a friend, "Oh, Katharine Ross hates me?" Good. I must have done something right. For Leachman, who saw conflict as entertainment, Ross's quiet resentment may have been just another story in the unpredictable theater of Hollywood life. But for Katharine Ross, it wasn't a joke. Her dislike of Leachman became something almost symbolic, a reminder of everything in the industry she found distasteful. "Hollywood rewards noise," Ross said in a rare candid comment, "but I never wanted to shout to be heard. I believed in stillness." To her, Leachman represented the opposite: loudness, chaos, ego, and a disregard for subtle artistry. Over the years, the story of their feud faded, overshadowed by their respective careers. Leachman went on to win an Academy Award and multiple Emmys, carving a legacy as one of Hollywood's most eccentric talents. Ross, meanwhile, retreated more from the limelight, appearing in fewer films and focusing on her marriage to actor Sam Elliott and their family life. Yet when Ross reflected on her career decades later, she reportedly admitted that Cloris Leachman remained the one person who could ruin my day just by walking into the room. Despite her strong feelings, Ross never denied Leachman's talent. "She was gifted, I'll give her that," Ross once said. But sometimes, talent isn't enough if there's no kindness behind it. Those words summed up Ross's philosophy about acting and life, that grace and humility mattered more than attention or awards. In many ways, the deep dislike between Katharine Ross and Cloris Leachman illustrated two extremes of the Hollywood temperament, the quiet craftsman versus the loud provocateur. Ross embodied restraint and emotional depth. Leachman embodied risk, chaos, and audacity. Their inability to coexist peacefully reflected how even two great talents, when rooted in such opposite values, could never find harmony. When Cloris Leachman passed away in 2021, Ross reportedly chose not to comment publicly. Friends close to her said she expressed no bitterness, only a quiet acknowledgement that their time together had been a lesson in patience. Yet those who knew her best said the memory of that clash lingered, not out of malice, but because it had revealed so much about her own boundaries, her sense of dignity, and her unshakable commitment to authenticity. As Ross once put it succinctly, "Some people come into your life to remind you who you don't want to be." For Katharine Ross, that person, more than anyone else, was Cloris Leachman.